Johannesburg recently launched its new Metrobus fleet, consisting of dual-fuel buses that'll use a combination of diesel and gas.
We recognize the important role we have to play as a board in ensuring we meet the obligations of the city, ensure hold the compacts and follow the priorities that have been set. But we also recognize the greater obligation on Metrobus to align itself with the green strategy of the country.
Your bus has got a dual fuel engine. Right now, we are starting with the first phase because they're using diesel, and we've started now with the first phase of getting CNG. So most of these buses will be running with CNG. But say for example, if a bus gets stuck somewhere, they can automatically switch over. They can switch over to diesel, but the whole idea is CNG. The mayor's program with City Parks and Zoo is, and with EISD, Environment and Infrastructure, what we're doing is part of the green economy, is planting grass, taking waste, and then they will give us the biogas, and the biogas will feed into the news. So it's a step-by-step process, and we are now concluding that. The mayoral committee has already approved the basic steps and the plan and the policy around alternative source of energy for the buses. So I'm quite happy. I think in the next 5 years you're going to see some amazing stuff around the green economy.
Johannesburg in the Gauteng province is a hub of industrial activity on the African continent, raising the responsibility the city region has towards reducing its carbon footprint.
I think as the Gauteng city region and the provincial government and all at least the metropolitan municipalities, we are extremely concerned about energy sources, the damage to the environment, and Gauteng is an industrial area. It is a major contributor to carbon emissions, not just in the country but on the African continent, and we owe it to future generations to really make sure that we begin to reduce the greenhouse gas emissions. So I think the future is really about electronic cars. There's talk of driverless cars, the solar energy, and of course looking at CNG and gas as means of propelling vehicles. More and more we're going to be moving in the direction both in terms of private vehicles. We've got a very successful pilot projects in Tshwane and in Ekurhuleni, where taxis have been retrofitted so they can use normal petrol and also gas. Initially a lot of hesitation, a lot of reluctance. People were uncertain and suspicious, saying, well, what if there's an accident? Will this gas tank explode? Will it create more damage, more fatalities? But it has worked exceptionally well. They have found that on average they are saving 30% in terms of their fuel cost if they use gas. And in terms of the actual performance, the minibus taxi is slightly slower, but it moves just as well. There's absolutely no problem. There's no car jerking or anything. It moves exceptionally smoothly, and they're very, very satisfied. So we've got a number of gas stations in Gauteng. I think we really need to see how we can expand and roll out more of those gas stations. I've been to other parts of the world. I've been to Italy, for example. Most of the vehicles are on gas. Iran, many of the vehicles are moving on gas. Pakistan is the same thing. So I think it's cheaper, it's better for the environment, it's cost effective, and that's really the way that we should be going.
Aside from lower carbon emissions, these buses will cut down on fuel expenditure as diesel costs double that of gas. Busmark, a factory based in Randfontein in Johannesburg, performs the final assembly of the buses.
We actually partner with Daimler Global base, so we do all our research and development with the Daimler on a global footprint. Whenever they bring in a new product, they work with us. We're based in South Africa with South Africans, and we own the company, and we employ engineers, artisans that will be able to make the buses. The critical part of how we get into the partnership in terms of this project specifically, which is Metrobus, the criteria was local content, to say that anything that you do must be coming out from local seats, steel, interior, and all of that. We have that capability and capacity within Busmark. We do our own fiberglass, we do our own steel components, we do our own seats, all our that goes into the bus. And then the other criteria was then empowerment. I have been owning 49% of this business for quite some time, and quite recently I now control the business, and I run and I'm actively involved in the business. So I'm the front line in terms of what happens in the business, and that's another criteria that was meaningful. And then the last one was to say that, it was to say that how many jobs can you be able to create into the market. And I'm very passionate about job creation, and jobs is all about people. You employ one person, that person supports a family of 5, and that's what it all is all about, So not working for me, working for all these employees.
We went out on a tender, and basically what we wanted was 2 things. We wanted a fleet of 150 buses, but they also have to be green propelled, that is renewable energy. And in the country there wasn't anybody who was able to produce that. Even Mercedes, who submitted a bid, didn't have a readily available vehicle to demonstrate that. But they were prepared to take the risk to manufacture a bus. That's one of the reasons it's taken so long for the buses to be produced. So we awarded the tender for 500 million rands, just over $500 million rands. And the award was done in 2015 January, and it's taken them 18 months from the start of the production of the engines, which is produced in Germany, the chassis, which are produced in Brazil, the assembly, which happens in East London, and the final putting together of the bus here in Randfontein. And in the Johannesburg environment, we then had to decide which body we would need, and we opted for the bus Mark 1 because it's a bit more resilient, it's consistent with the bus fleet that we've got at the moment. So there were a lot of things we were looking for, but it's basically a contractual relationship we had with them for the 150 buses that we've ordered. Middle of the contract, we then were running behind, and we decided, because we had already budgeted for some additional money, we were going to buy an extra 25 buses and hire an additional 15 to just augment our fleet. That's why we've got 175 procured buses plus 15 extra to help us in the city. But the business we're running really needs about 400 buses. So this is the first batch of buses that we're buying. Hopefully in the new administration we will continue with the refleeting to meet the needs of the people of Johannesburg. The one thing is, even with the fleet of over 400 that we've got, it's not covering every area of the city. So we need to extend our services to other outlying areas like the Orange Farm, the Tembisas, the Cosmos cities, which are areas which have historically not been adequately serviced. And that's where we will be taking these buses. But the first point of departure for Metrobus is to strengthen the existing routes, which have for a number of months and possibly years have been under service because the buses that we had were breaking down every so often. So we'll be taking this new fleet to strengthen those corridors which we are servicing within Johannesburg.
Johannesburg is currently constructing the Corridors of Freedom, a bold plan to bring communities who are far-flung from the city closer to economic opportunities. They're doing this through developing transport nodes, housing and other facilities. Metrobus will be servicing those new routes.
Metrobus was a particular type of company that had a certain type of culture, and we've been really struggling for the last 10, 15 years to try and change that culture. And we were able to say that if we could change the culture around affordability, better services, reliable services to the community, because you must remember, Metrobus services most of the community members that earn below, say from 10,000 and below. Those people who are nurses, those are factory workers, domestic workers, and these are guys that go for petrol jockeys. All of these people, gardeners, these people really need this kind of service. It has to be safe, reliable, take them to work on time so they don't lose their job, So Metrobus, the turnaround strategy had 9 work streams around the restructuring, and we took the decision to the mayor on the 1st of March 2013, and I'm quite happy to say within 14 to 18 months we met 8 of all of those work streams, with the last work stream that we're sitting with now is the automated fare collection system that we're working on, and we're hoping that we can have one integrated ticketing system with BRT, with Metrobus. And then of course the major change for the new beginnings for Metrobus was the new buses, the new fleet. We need about 432 buses. We've now got 205 new buses, so we need in the next year, this current year, we've got 231 million rand. So we'll be buying another batch of 50 buses now. And so the increase of the amount of buses we need would be continuing in the next 3 years. So we've already seen through the first year. We're now busy with the second year, and 2016-17, you will then see the last group of buses coming in. You will see that it has the same colorization as the BRT, because those are the colors of the footprint of the city's transport, and we're hoping that once we've sorted out our discussions around empowerment with the taxi industry, that we'll see a similar colorization but their own identity, but the colorization would be the same. We're also inheriting from the province a competency of all of the subsidized buses, like your PATCO buses, those private buses, scholar buses. So we're hoping that the footprint of your mode of transport, the choice for people would be wide, and it would be broad and affordable, and people will be able to move across the city. But there would be something about the city around the integrated transport system, that it's smart, that there's an identification of Johannesburg, you know, in the footprint, and then supporting the climate change agenda, which is, I think, marvelous. Yeah.